Are you a trucker? Are you an independent contractor? Or are you treated as an employee? Should you be treated as an employee? These are questions that I'm going to answer in today's video. Welcome back to The Trucking Lawyer. I'm attorney Craig Steger, practicing in Wisconsin, Minnesota, and Iowa. If you've been trucking for any length of time, you've probably encountered a situation where you've been treated as a contractor, an independent contractor. Maybe the majority of you are. And while it is legal in certain circumstances to treat drivers as independent contractors, and there are certain benefits to being treated that way, there are also significant drawbacks, and there are also significant rules and regulations that trucking companies have to follow in order to legally treat someone as an independent contractor in a special way because of the inherent risks associated with being an independent contractor. So let's kind of go over those things a little bit. So the typical standard, and this will vary by state, but let's say Wisconsin, Minnesota, and Iowa, where I work, there is a control test. So it's it's a multi-factor test, and it's sort of asked, who's in control? Or to put it another way, how much freedom and rights does the trucker have in how they go about their work and what kinds of things they're liable for? So there's no magic formula, but there's a number of factors that generally get considered and that you want to consider when you're being invited or offered a job as an independent contractor, or you're in an independent contractor relationship. So first of all, who provides the equipment? Who provides the truck? Who provides the trailer, any tools or equipment you need? Who provides that? Is it the trucking company, or is it the driver? If the trucking company, that suggests that they are in control. If the trucker brings his or her own equipment, that can signify that they are truly an independent contractor. It's one factor, it's not dispositive. Who has the right to hire helpers and workers and subcontractors? Are you the trucker hiring additional help if you need it, or is that the responsibility of the trucking company? Who's paying for help for you? Who's at risk of loss, or who reaps the benefit of profit depending on how a particular load or series of loads go? Does the risk of loss fall on the trucker or on the trucking company? Who bears that risk? This is probably a really important one, but can the trucker refuse loads, or must they take loads? If a trucker can't refuse to do certain loads, that is a strong indication that they're not actually independent and that the trucking company is actually the one in control. But if the trucker can turn down loads and not be terminated for it, or not be punished or disciplined for it, that's a strong sign that this person is in fact independent and not under the control of the trucking company. Who provides the fuel and the fuel cards? Is the trucker paying for that? Is the trucking company paying for that? How are you paid? Are you paid per mile or per hour, as opposed to simply receiving the profits of a load after paying expenses? Is the trucker required to attend safety meetings or follow company policies? If a trucker is required to attend safety meetings, that suggests a level of control that may be incompatible with the concept of an independent contractor. Can the driver be disciplined? Can they have their pay withheld? Can they be required to go to training or something like that? Or are they largely left to decide how and when they do their job? That's another significant factor in the sort of the analysis of whether the trucking company is in control or whether the driver is in control. So one of the things that you want to really pay attention to if you're in an independent contractor relationship is, what are the tax implications for you? The main motivating factor why people consider doing an independent contractor relationship and sort of the promotion that is given by the trucking company is that you'll make more money, you'll take more money home. But you need to keep in mind that If you're not an employee, you're going to pay self-employment tax. So in a normal employment situation, you pay part of your taxes and your employer pays part of those taxes. If you're an independent contractor, you're paying the entire amount. So you have to factor that in when deciding how much you're actually going to make. You have to do quarterly payments as a 1099 employee. Otherwise, there may be IRS penalties associated with that. There's no automatic taxes withheld from your check. Your employer would do that if you're an employee, but if you're an independent contractor, they don't have to do that. That's your responsibility. You're not, the employer is not contributing towards Medicare and Social Security the way that they would if you're an employee. You have to do that yourself. There's no unemployment insurance for you. There's no workers' comp insurance for you if you are an independent contractor. So it's really, really important if you're an independent contractor that you're setting aside money for taxes and that you're tracking all of your deductible expenses. So here's some things that you're going to want to save as a 1099 employee. As a 1099 truck driver. Fuel receipts, mileage logs, all of your scale tickets, toll receipts, truck payment and insurance premiums, your meal logs and per diems, things of that nature, your depreciation schedules. This is all stuff that you're going to want to go over with an accountant. So if you are being treated as an independent contractor, as a 1099 trucker, I strongly, strongly encourage you to talk right away to an accountant who's familiar with the rules and regulations and can help guide you and make sure that you're doing everything possible to get the most out of that 1099 status, that you're reporting and deducting all of your deductible expenses, and that you're getting all the maximum benefits out of being a 1099 employee, and that you're setting aside enough money for tax purposes. There can be a lot of hidden costs and expenses as an independent contractor, as a 1099 worker that you may not think about. Truck payments, lease payments, fuel, repairs, maintenance, service work, tires, compliance costs, workers' comp insurance, if you're going to have workers' comp insurance, occupational accident insurance, health insurance, accounting fees. So if you're going to hire an accountant, you're going to have to pay for that person. Road taxes, tolls, permits, things of that nature. All those expenses add up, and that you need to factor in when you are being offered to work as a 1099 employee. A driver, you need to make sure that the money you're making is actually making it worthwhile, and that you're not actually further behind than if you were working for someone as an employee. Now, just because you've been treated as a 1099 employee doesn't mean in fact you are. Employers often mischaracterize their employees and try to treat them as 1099 workers because it's cheaper for them, and there are less rules and regulations they have to follow, less they have to worry about in terms of taxes and benefits. So the trucking company is going to do that for their benefit, not yours. But if they're not properly classifying you, that can subject them to risk. You may be able to sue them. You may be able to bring a wage claim against them or something like that for wrongly misclassifying you. This is why it's really important to keep track of all of your documents and information, and that you consult with an employment attorney of some sort who's familiar with these rules and regulations, can help you identify whether you were properly treated as a 1099 worker or not. As a contract driver, if you're involved in a crash or a damaged load, that falls on your shoulders as an independent driver. Typically, if you're an employee, it's the employer's responsibility. So if you're a 1099, someone may still sue the trucking company that you're working for, but they can then turn around, or their insurance company can turn around and try to get that money back from you. So it's really, really important that you take all of this into consideration. Here's some special insurance things that you might want to keep in mind if you are being classified as an independent contractor driver. Do you have non-trucking liability insurance, bobtail coverage? Do you have coverage for physical damage to your truck? Do you have cargo insurance if it's damaged or lost? Do you have occupational or workers' comp insurance, health insurance? Do you have uninsured or underinsured coverage under your policy or their policy If you're injured in a crash, if someone else causes injury to you, do you have any coverage for that? Finally, I want to talk about some really important documents that you should keep and questions that you should ask if you're being offered an independent driver arrangement or position. Make sure that you keep a copy of your agreement. If you're a contractor, there should be a contract. If this is a lease to own, there should be a lease. It should be in writing. Make sure you get a copy of that and make sure you keep a copy of that. Keep a copy of all lease payments, of all of your rate sheets and rate confirmations, all dispatch records, inbound and outbound, all of your settlement or your pay stubs. Make sure you keep all of those. Copies of any insurance policies, any fuel surcharge agreements, who gets the fuel surcharge, and any permits or regulatory filings that you file or pay for as part of the work. Keep copies of all those. Keep your own mileage logs, your ELT backup records, maintenance logs, fuel receipts, photographs of your vehicles and the trailers that you're hauling, any of your tax documents and correspondence with your accountant, cargo and bill of lading. Keep copies of any text messages or emails between you and the company that you're working for. Look for things that show control, such as them telling you when to start, them disciplining you, them telling you that you can't refuse loads, attending mandatory meetings, things of that nature. And so finally, here's some questions that you should consider asking the company if they want to treat you as an independent contractor. Who controls my schedule? Can I turn loads down? And if so, under what circumstances? Can you work for other companies at the same time you're working for this company? Who pays for my fuel? Who gets the fuel surcharge? Who pays for tolls and permits and other regulatory fees? Are you required to have your own accidental insurance or occupational insurance, workers' comp coverage? What if you're injured while driving? Are you covered? Who's responsible if you get involved in a crash and someone claims that it's your fault? Who's the insurance company on the truck and what are their limits? Ask for certificates of insurance. These are all things that you really want to be asking about and continuing to ask about if you're being presented with an independent contractor situation to drive truck. And finally, I want to talk about some of the things that you might want, if these things happen, that you might want to talk to an experienced trucking lawyer. Obviously, if you're injured while driving, or you're injured on the job, or maybe you're injured while loading and unloading, things of that nature, if you're injured at all, whether you're an whether they claim you're an independent contractor or not, it's a really good idea to talk to an attorney. It's not going to cost you anything. You'll get a free consultation. If you make a workers' comp claim and it's denied because you're an independent contractor, it's a really, really good time to talk to an attorney. If you have any disputes over settlements, over payments, compensation, things of that nature, if you're sued because of a crash that you were involved with and someone claims it's your fault, contact an attorney right away. They can help you sort out your insurance and try to find an insurance company that's required to provide a legal defense to you. And finally, if you're asked to sign a document or a contract that you don't understand, talk to an attorney first. Don't take chances. So just to recap, it's really, really important to remember that there are very specific rules and regulations and factors that go into whether someone can be properly treated as an independent contractor. If they're actually an employee and the employer is just trying to treat someone as an independent contractor, it can have significant financial and regulatory liability for the trucking company. And you want to make sure that you pursue that claim as soon as possible. You may have a claim for back earnings, benefits, workers' comp claims, unemployment, things of that nature. That's why it's really, really important to talk to an attorney if you find yourself in some of those situations, because they can help you or point you in the direction of someone that can help you. So I hope that's helpful. I covered a lot, I know, and a lot of that, there may be some questions that you have, and it's always really, really good to talk to an attorney in the state where you're at that can help you answer these questions. I'm always happy to talk to people. If you'd like to reach out to me, just go down into the description and send me an email. That's the best way. Or give me a call or text. Otherwise, if you have any general comments or thoughts, positive, negative, or otherwise on the video, go ahead and leave those in the comments. Otherwise, I appreciate you watching. Stay tuned for new videos. And until next time, everyone, have a good one.